Hey, we are Cheryl and John, and we have something super exciting going on.
Yeah, so when she says something exciting, we're going to move abroad. So a few years back, we'll probably say about 5 or 6 years ago, we decided that we were going to move overseas somewhere. We didn't know where, we didn't know specifically when, we really didn't know a lot. We just knew we wanted to move out of the United States when we had a window of opportunity. So we want to share with all of you kind of our process on this whole thing. Going from idea to when we actually get to our destination and have celebrated success.
Right. So, as you may have picked up, we haven't moved yet. We're just starting the process. I know there's a lot of people out there who talk about they get to where they want to be, and then they tell you how they got there. Well, we're going to let you watch us in real time as we move abroad. We start our journey, and so as John mentioned, we had this idea a few years ago, but we didn't really know what that looked like. I worked in corporate America for 25 years. I recently resigned actually, I was in the process of resigning. I think it was all around the same time, to really spend more time with our teenage sons who were going to be leaving to college soon. And that's the exact window John's talking about. Our youngest son is going to college in the fall. And so we thought this was a good window for us to spend a few years traveling and exploring while they did the same with themselves. And so when our oldest went to school, we decided our house was just too big, and it always was too big. It was our dream home. It was wonderful. We loved it, but it was a lot of work for us, a lot of work to maintain. And when the market was ripe a couple of years ago, we took advantage of that. And again, we didn't know exactly what this move abroad looked like, but we thought that was we knew we were going to need to sell our home. And so we took that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and when she says, we had to do a lot of work. Usually around springtime is when I started having anxiety because we had a pool, we had a volleyball court, we had an acre, we had, landscaping, we had sprinklers that just never worked because we had overgrown landscaping. So, needless to say, yeah, when they started raising interest rates, it was a prime opportunity to leave for a week and get multiple offers on our home above asking. And for that, especially out in Denver, those of you that are out here know that just across the U.S., I mean, prices are going through the roof right now. But it was almost a stress-free opportunity to get out. And then, really kind of start the planning as to what our next step is. In essence, I like to say, burn the ship, right? So now we put ourselves in a position to where now we have to move forward in one way, shape, or form. So,
Right. And so we just completed downsize number two. We're trying to get ourselves fit into this new home that we're in for the summer, got rid of most of our furniture. We're both kind of making makeshift office spaces, as you might be able to notice, but
yeah, as you see,
we're
this is my wonderful office for the next 2 months.
and we're excited to really lean into the next chapter. And by the way, we haven't this. It's not like we haven't done this before. We moved from Chicago to Denver with a 2-month-old, quit our jobs before we left, and figured it out when we got here. So we've been through some of this uncomfortableness before, how we navigated it, and what we learned. We learned a lot, and so we just wanted to come in and just let you watch what we're up to, share what we're learning as we go. And so we thought maybe we give you a status of where we are today and what's going on, and then we'll come back in a few weeks with the latest update.
Yeah, she mentioned, moving from Chicago to Denver. Yeah, we had our first child, right? And we lived downtown Chicago. Wasn't exactly the most ideal place to raise a child as you start looking around and you're like, huh, how does school work? How does, soccer work? How does all that stuff raising a child? And quite frankly, neither of us were really excited about moving out to the suburbs. Naperville just isn't the most exciting place to be. But like, so we're currently in Denver, Colorado. And the beautiful thing about Colorado is most people around here aren't natives. We're all from somewhere else, and the thing is, all it took was us coming to Colorado once to pique our interest in coming here. A lot of people came to go skiing. That was our example. We came skiing. my wife was smart enough to go, hey, instead of just jumping in a rental car, going from the airport, rolling up the windows, turning on the heat and going straight to the mountains, let's stay in Denver for a few days. And just those few days won me over. Like, huh, I could actually do this. And this is actually coming from somebody who's lived, born and raised in Chicago and never left. Nobody in my family has left. So being able to plant that seed and then, really taking that risk where we're like, okay, uh, we've got a child on the way, and we just decided, you know what, we're going to put our house up for sale. We'll see what happens. We had a townhouse in Lincoln Park in the center, the city there, and we decided, okay, if it sells, we'll move. If not, we'll figure it out in the city. And sure enough, what the hell, it sold in a week, and we're like, well, I guess we're moving to Denver. And we didn't know a soul. Well, actually, we knew one soul, but yeah, we didn't even know where to live. There's actually a funny story behind knowing someone else out here, but we'll save that for another moment. Um, but we just looked at a map and tried to figure out, okay, where in Denver do we want to live? And we actually got it wrong the first time because we ended up on the south side of Denver, um, which I kind of refer to as suburban hell with a mountain view. But we've corrected it, and we've been out here for 20 years since and love it. And our kids have been raised and grown out here, and they're absolutely bulletproof and got the opportunity. Now it's time for all of us to explore and move on. So
Yep, exactly. And I know the questions we get from a lot of people are, well, what do your kids think? Or are you ever coming back? Or what, how could you do such a thing? And it's really about having an idea, setting an intention, thinking about, we want to go try this thing. Didn't exactly know what that looked like, but just looked for opportunities that came to us. And like I said, selling the house is something that come to us. When I left my corporate career, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do next, but I had several women ask me to coach them, which was now led me to be a leadership coach. And a couple other businesses we put in place, it just kind of came to us that allowed us the opportunity to do this. And so now we're getting started. Well, actually, we started back in December. We took a trip to Portugal and Spain. We kind of narrowed it down to Europe eventually. We thought we wanted to go to Southeast Asia. We looked at South America, but given this was our first trip away, extended from our kids, we felt we should be a little closer in case we needed to come back suddenly. Our son's off to college first year. How can we get back in less than a day if we needed to? And that's really difficult from Argentina or from Thailand or any of those other places. Our original vision was, and who knows, it might still work out this way, was to pick a country, live there for a year, travel all over, and then find another country in another region and do the same thing. And again, that still might happen. But our plan right now is to move to Valencia, Spain. And we discovered Valencia in December. We were over there on a recon trip through Portugal because that was where we expected to move to. We found a city in Portugal that was going to work. And then we went over to Spain. I studied abroad in college in Spain. I lived there for a little bit. I love Spain. I didn't want to force Spain on John, but I did love that place. And then we went to Valencia kind of to check it out, but also to meet up with a friend of our son, a good family friend, and we met him for dinner, and we stayed in the area for a few days. And John proclaimed that it felt perfect, and I agreed. And so Valencia is where we're off to in October. There's a lot to do between now and then, and now that the clock is ticking, we're really starting to make some progress on that.
yeah, now going to Portugal was interesting. Portugal, like I said, everything looked great on paper, but once we got boots on the ground, it really didn't speak to us. And quite frankly, Portuguese, I was just going to be lost because that is a language where I did not see myself really figuring that out in any given time frame. At least Spanish, I have a fighting chance of figuring that out. But like Cheryl said, I mean, we went to Valencia, and I kind of fought going to Valencia because traveling all over Portugal was exhausting because we went from north of Porto all the way down south into the Algarve, and just went north to south, east to west, and Yeah, I think we put on something like 2,000 kilometers, or maybe I'm over exaggerating. I don't remember what the odometer read, but I was exhausted. And plus, we went during off season, because we want to see what it's really like when, tourists aren't there, because we want to integrate. That's our big thing. We want to be able to, not just be there on vacation for an extended period of time, but be part, take part of the culture, be part of, really, make that our home, feel that way. Um, but yeah, so anyway, we ended up going to Valencia against my will because I was like, all right, let's just go down south and enjoy our vacation because we had earmarked a week to just hang out on the Mediterranean and relax. But yeah, we went to Valencia, and the thing is, I'm from Chicago, and that was my goal right out of college, was move to a city. And I loved living in Chicago. I loved all the conveniences of a city. I loved all the culture. I loved the idea that everything was a stone's throw away. You can wake up and go to some of the best restaurants, and it's a taxi cab ride away. That was one of the downsides in Colorado. You needed a car. We live in suburbia, but that's the best way we could have approached it. But Valencia was clean. It was, had it's about the size of Denver, really. But yeah, it felt right. It didn't feel overly congested. They utilized public transportation extensively. Everything was, I mean, I joke around with people. It's like Valencia. You know what litters the street in Valencia? Valencia oranges. There's pride in the city, and plus it's on the Mediterranean. And the one big bonus about it, and this was an actual bonus for us that we didn't even plan on doing. So in Denver, we've got the best weather in the country, whether you know it or not. We get 300 days of sunshine. Our humidity's you know basically non-existent, but you don't know what you have until you leave. Well, Valencia's got 320 days of sunshine, which, I mean, come on. I mean, that stuff's like free Prozac. So, that just kind of keeps a natural smile on your face. And Denver, we're landlocked. We get a reservoir here and there, but Valencia, we've got the Mediterranean Ocean. So it checked a lot of boxes that I didn't even know were boxes at the time. But no, I'm excited. I'm excited. We've got well, I'll let Cheryl continue on what our plans are moving forward here. But yeah, that's how we ended up with Valencia.
Yeah, exactly. And we both just love it. It's like he said, super walkable. It blends the old and the new really well. And we're really excited to get over there and just start experiencing a slower pace of life, a life that is about working to live rather than living to work. And so where we are in the process is that we've talked to some immigration attorneys. We have some ideas for what we need to do. Actually, we've talked to 3 different people, and they all have kind of a different suggestion on what we should do with visas, which is interesting. I think it comes down to specifically what do we want our constraints to be, and what they're going to want from us. So we're working on that process. We yeah, that's basically where we are. We've started that process on the visas. There's a lot of documentation we need to request and put together, financially and otherwise. And we are looking to be boots on the ground in October, and basically get our son to college, go to Parents Weekend with him, and then fly right out from there to Spain. We're going to be there for 2 months. And the goal with that is to just get a lay of the land, a better lay of the land. We were there for, I think in Valencia, maybe a total of 3 days and 2 different visits, and really get an idea of neighborhoods and where we want to live, so that then we can either decide to purchase something right away or rent a little longer term. But the good thing is, we decided we wanted to come back for Christmas. It's our son's first come back home, first Christmas, basically since he's been in college. So we wanted to come back for that and spend some time with the boys. And that allows us to actually gather some other things, decide what we don't need from what we took the first time, and then, come back and settle in for a little longer haul. So that's where we are. And we'll be, coming back for some updates. We'll let you kind of peek into what we're up to. We'll share everything we're learning. By the way, there are, in a lot of our research, looking at visas and places to live, digital nomad visa is a really big one that is come up recently. And it's basically the country wants you to make money somewhere else and spend it in their country while you're living there. That's basically the nut of what it is. They want to make sure you have enough money to support yourself and not live off of their off of their country, but spend your money there. And about 70 countries now have digital nomad visas. They all look different. You know, in Spain, it's basically up to a 5 years based on renewals. South Korea has a 6-month one, but I don't know what the renewal process is there. That's just another example. But there's so many right now. So if you have an idea of wanting to go somewhere, don't worry about it. There's a lot of places to go. And if you don't know how to get there, we're hoping to just inspire you to put some ideas out there, put some, you know, just some goals and dreams and wishes, and see what comes your way.
Yeah, yeah, and like Cheryl said, I mean, there's a lot that we don't know right now. I mean, we're just looking forward to get boots on the ground, and because everything here looks good on paper, but once we get out there, I mean, like the bureaucracy is one thing we'll have to figure out, because here we've kind of had that expectation of we need everything now, now, now. Out there, things are a lot slower. So we're looking for somebody to hold our hand and at least point us in the right direction. Finding the right place in Valencia is important because yeah, I want to live in a city center. My wife wants to live a little bit off the beaten path, a little bit further out, um, but still populated area. But we're hoping just kind of like Denver to find that happy medium that just 'cause, our goal, I mean, I always joke, I'm like, I just want to wake up in the morning and have a smile on my face, right? Whatever brings joy to us, I mean, teach their own. Uh, but it's like Cheryl said, I mean, it's not work to live, it's live to work or whatever that is. But it's a different approach. There's more focus on friends and family and just enjoying life. Here, I mean, we're all stuck in the rat race at the U.S., in the United States. I mean, we've all been part of it. But yeah, right now, I mean, we're trying to figure out our visas. We're trying to figure out all the documents they need. And, we've got between the two of us, I think we've got, potentially 5 businesses that are, anywhere from, you know, early stages to getting off the ground and going in the right direction. So, and that's something that we hope to share with you too. Like, hey, this is what we did and this is what worked for us. Cheryl's working on coaching. I was an options trader in Chicago. I translated that out to Colorado, and now it's like, okay, how can I help other people navigate the financial markets? Right now I'm teaching my wife how to trade options. I'm teaching my son how to build algorithms. I'm probably coaching one of his friends on how to, navigate the markets, via options, taking his poker prowess to, another casino. Um, but yeah, and then that, just running other, different businesses, trying out, products with Amazon, things like that. I mean, we've got a lot of irons in the fire, and we're hoping, once we get boots on the ground and get settled, like, okay, this is what worked for us. It might not be, work, it's not going to work for everybody, but at least it helps people think about alternatives. Because right now, I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of us have the 9 to 5 job. We get the W-2s or whatever that looks like. How do you break away from that? Or can you take advantage of that and move away? Because right now, I mean, it's funny. We talk to, so many people and it's like, oh my God, you guys are going, moving to Spain? Like, yeah. And then they scratch their head like, son of a bitch, that's awesome. Like, we can never do that. I'm like, why not? I mean, I sit there and joke around with like Denver. I mean, where, we came to visit somebody and it was like, that's a great place to live. But it seemed, it wasn't as scary to move from Chicago to Denver, even though it was terrifying. I mean, with a 2-month-old kid, new job, new kid, new, moving across country. Yeah, we took 3 of the major stressors in life and just put them in together. And we dealt with it. We figured it out, and we did it with a smile on our face. We're just taking this to a larger scale, and we're hoping we can do the same thing where it's like, hey, water's warm, you know, come visit us in Valencia and see what we love about it. And, scratch your head and go, huh, maybe I can do this, but then there's so many other countries, out there, other places to live that, that fits your particular lifestyle right now. Yeah, we're going to try it out in Spain. We're hoping that works out for us. That might be our long-term home base. That might just be a layover for our next destination. We don't know. And that's the fun part about it. No. So anyway, I'm glad you guys are following us in our adventure. We're excited about it. We're we're hoping we can provide you guys with some valuable information moving forward as we start to figure out what the hell we're doing. So, Carol, take us out of here. And
Absolutely. Great way to sum it up. And until next time, keep your options open. See you then.